Alrighty, what's going on, my powerlifting people? We are back again with another live stream, doing another recap of day number 7 now of the IPF Classic Powerlifting Worlds. And now we started the Open, so we're going to go over, the open age divisions now as they get started from the bottom end of the weight classes all the way up to the top each of these next 5 days. Also, before I go into the actual breakdown of the weight classes, how things go, I wanted to go over a couple of things, logistical things. Some people were confused as far as the live stream, which I agree, because it was a little bit confusing as far as the IPF didn't give us necessarily all the information that for the open age division it was going to switch over to the Olympic channel. I had seen that it was listed on the Olympic channel website, IPF Classic Powerlifting World Championships. It showed kind of the schedule for the open and the times and everything like that. But I thought maybe it would be streamed on both. Like, you can go watch on Olympic channel, or you can just watch it on the regular YouTube IPF Live, IPF's YouTube channel. And then, I wake up in this morning and I try to go look on YouTube and I saw there was nothing listed on there. So then I went over to the Olympic channel site and saw that was listed on there. So I want to go over that first so you all can see kind of where to find things if you're going to watch these next couple of days, or if you want to go back and watch today. And I have, again, as always, the links down in the description below. So I'll switch over to my computer, and right now I'm on the Goodlift website, but I'll show you how to get to each of the things. So if you go to the Goodlift website and then you go over to live, which again, I have that as one of the first links in the description, but I'll throw this in the chat as well. So if you go there, then you can see it still links here the live stream for the YouTube channel. You don't want to go to that one. That's going to have the masters, the sub juniors and juniors, but it's not going to have the open. So you're not going to be able to watch previous open sessions or any upcoming open sessions. But when they open up the room here and you go to the live scoreboard, the little video that's going to be in the top left-hand corner is going to have that correct Olympic channel live stream. So this is from the junior day, so this is not going to show the correct information, but just to show you what the screen looks like, if you've never seen the Goodlift live scoring here, you're going to have the lifters and their attempts here, and then you're going to have a video embedded in here. And this video embedded for room number 1, when it's a 1-platform session, or for both rooms when it's a 2-platform session, will have that Olympic channel live stream right in there. So if you go to the Goodlift website, it's going to be there. You don't have to worry about, okay, what website do I go to if it's not the YouTube channel. Then the other thing is, if you happen to go to the IPF website, again, that's linked below, and I'll throw that in here in the chat. Anybody that wants to see it and click on it, is if you come right down here, the very first thing you're going to see is information about the Classic Powerlifting World Championships, and it says live at Olympic channel, and it has the link to their page on the Olympic channel website, and then it has the video embedded right here. So you could pull up the video here, or if you open this up, then this is the entire, you can see World Open Classic Championships for, September 29th through October 3rd. And here is where the channel is, all the information is going to be. So they have a little preview video here. Here they have the coming up, and you can see the schedule. And here they have the replays of the sessions that already happened. So this is where you want to come if you want to go directly to the Olympics.com to go to the Olympic channel and watch it. Like I said, you can go through the IPF powerlifting.sport site, or if you want to watch everything, you can watch it right here on the Goodlift. Okay, so hopefully that helps clear some confusion, as I was confused as well of whether it be dual streamed, but it looks like it's just going to be on the IPF channel, so that's where you're going to want to go. So let's pull up the timetable real quick and go over what we're looking at here. If you are new, we've kind of been reviewing, what I'm going to go over in the live stream, and then what the next day is coming each day. So if we come over here, we've gone through all that, the Masters, Sub Junior, Juniors. We are now on Wednesday, September 29th, when we are in the Open. So in that morning session was the 47s and 52s. In the middle session was the 59 and 66 men. And then in the night session, they finished off with the 57 women. So what we're going to do is let's go over the men, because it's a little bit easier, just knock out those 2 weight classes, and then we will knock out the women's 3 weight classes. So we'll start with our men. So we'll come back over here, and now you can see there's new score sheets specifically for the Open, so it makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to scroll through all sub juniors, juniors, and 4 different masters categories. You can just open up the specific Open one. So we'll open up Men's Classic Open. Thanks for checking out, Jason, and dropping the comment. always, messing around with new things over here. So I got my floodlights in the back. I decided to go with green today in the back. And then I went with the white and red brand new SPD shirt out of the bag, representing France. I didn't know if I should go white with blue or white with red. I ended up going white with red because it was a good day for the Team France, which is what we're going to go over. So always trying to make improvements here and get to like practice different things out here with these live streams recapping IPF Worlds to get me ready for when we do more important live streams, whether we're doing like programming, form check, and things of that nature. So this is my practice sessions. So here we go. We got the men's classic open. In the 59 kilo class, there's only 2 lifters from Russia. If we go over to the nominations real quick, you'll see that there were some more lifters here. So you can see there were 5. Unfortunately, I talked to a lifter who's competing later on, or was supposed to, from Sri Lanka, and they said that because they're like a level red country, so Sweden and the EU has different levels for like depending on whether you're in the EU or out of the EU, and also what kind of level you are as far as like COVID and everything. So they have like green, yellow, and red. Sri Lanka, unfortunately, was in that red level, so they were not granted any visas to go. And then I saw in some Instagram comments as well that Libya was not able to get the visas to go. I'm not sure the reason why, but it could be a similar thing where the cases were just too high where Sweden or the EU would not approve of it. And so they were also not there. So Libya didn't show up, which we kind of already suspected. Same with Sri Lanka, because they weren't there for some of the masters, sub juniors, and juniors that were nominated. They weren't there. So we assumed, okay, maybe that would happen too. So it only dropped down to 2 lifters, both from Russia, in the 59 open. So you can see that here, Sergey, the one who wins all the time, versus this other lifter, Evgeny. So it wasn't really a battle. You can see, both go 3 for 3. Looks like Sergey gets a continental record. And then, Sergey only gets 1 bench, but that's all he needed for the gold. And then they both go 3 for 3. And looks like Evgeny gets a continental record in the Masters 1 because he's 1981. So he just turned 40 this year. And then, Sergey doesn't hit a PR total or anything like that, but, easily wins by 80 kilos. But it looks like Evgeny also hits the Masters 1 world record in the total. But if you see this, Sergey is 1982. So as long as he sticks around, he's going to, age into the Masters 1 next year. And so all I have to do is go to international meet, and all of these are going to become Masters 1 world records for him. So he's going to rack up some more world records. So, Sergey cruises to the win, but it looks like he's going to be off of the top 3 for the best lifter because he didn't put anywhere close to what he can do. I think he's done like 30 or so kilos more than that, and he was nominated 620. He just cruised to whatever he needed to probably at nationals. So then we go to 66, and that's where there's going to be a little bit more of a battle. There's 5 lifters that competed, and there were 6. It was this Libyan lifter who no-showed due to visa, so they're down to these 5 lifters. And really, it was a battle for the top 2. Eddie couldn't quite keep up with only getting 1 bench. So if we look at Eddie real quick, he started off good, going 3 for 3 in the squat, getting the bronze medal. And then he does an easy opener, 187.5. For him, the bench is always hit or miss because of how much he arches and how low his range of motion is. He's hold his breath the whole time, that he may, be just out of the position and then he can't press half his chest, or he may pass out during the lift. So he gets to 187.5 and then misses 202 twice, which unfortunately for his best lift, even though he gets the gold medal, it just puts him behind too much because his deadlift is so much lower. He really needed, to get this 202 and then maybe try a 210 to 220 on the third, because then he would have, let's say if he had 210, he would have, another 22.5 kilos, which would have gotten him here. You can see into the 682 range, and then he would could have taken a more conservative deadlift to keep up with them. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep up. If he did even get the 202, which would have given him 15 kilos more, would have gone to 675. He would have been within range. But unfortunately, once he missed those 2, it was basically out. So it came a battle of 1 and 2 versus, which is Pana from France versus Sergey Gladkick from Russia. And you can see very close body weight. Pana actually weighed in a little bit lighter, 65.82 versus 65.96 for Sergey. So Pana had the body weight advantage and had the lot number advantage, 10 versus 6. So on squat, I didn't see what the opener issue was, if it was depth or something like that, but he retook it, got it, and then got 247 on his third. Sergey goes 3 for 3, cruises 255, which is a continental record for him, gets the gold medal. They both get 3 benches in. Okay. Sergey gains some more ground. You can see Pana takes smaller jumps, 5 and then 2, so he only gains 7.5 kilos from the first to third, whereas Sergey Gladkick takes 10 and then 5, so he gains 15 kilos here from the first to third. So now he's gaining some ground, and looks like, we're getting a comment here that he timed out. So it looks like, yeah, for as far as the first squat, the issue was the timing out, and so he had to come back and get that. Looks like it was because he didn't get a start command. So thanks for those comments. I haven't gone back to watch the squat and bench press. I just tuned in for the deadlift to see that battle. With the Olympic channel, for me, I wasn't able to go back other than about a minute behind in the live stream. Could you go back and watch it? So since that session was going on, I was not able to go back and watch squat and bench press. And then once it finished, I didn't go watch the replay. So, he timed out, didn't get the squat command, but he was able to get, 2 squats in and 3 benches in. But now, Sergey is gaining some ground because he's gaining, 15 kilos here from first to third and 15 kilos here from first to third, versus Pana's only gaining 7.5 here from first to third and 7.5 here from first to third. So we go into deadlifts, which is obviously Pana's lift, which is good for him because all he needs to do is pull whatever he needs to tie in total and beat him on body weight. So in actuality, if we back it up to the opener real quick, Pana would be at 685 on opener, and Sergey would be at 677 on opener. So Sergey's a little bit behind there, and he has the lower deadlift. So, he's getting a lot of disadvantages here, being, lower total effort openers, having a lower deadlift overall, having the heavier body weight, and not having the lot number. But, he still tried his best. So Sergey goes up 10 kilos from first to second, and Pana plays it conservative, which is a smart move to do, and only goes up 7.5. Again, if you have a big lead or a moderate sized lead, you don't have to try and extend that lead. You can just hold on to that lead or give up a little bit of the lead and maintain, the first place position, which is what you want. So then you can see after seconds, the lead is cut down to 692 and 687, so only 5 kilo difference. Plus, Pana has the body weight, so really, the minimum amount that Sergey Gladkick would need to do is a 7.5 kilo jump. So if he had done 280 on his third, that would have got him 695, and at that point then Pana would have to go and pull his third attempt to get the lead back. He'd have to do at least 280. So he could have been, Sergey does 280 and then Pana does 280, where Sergey would go in first and then Pana would then go in first. For whatever reason, they decided to take a bigger jump. I understand that, Pana's first and second attempt looked easy, so they thought most likely, he had more than him. But the amount they made seemed like a big risk to me because the Sergey Gladkick's opener looked all right. It wasn't, grinder or slow, but it wasn't very speedy. And then the second attempt, 272, looked fairly difficult. So I was like, oh, they're going to go up 12.5 from there to 285. And let's see if we can look real quick at what his PR is listed on Open IPF. Looks like it's 280. So 280 for raw and 295 for equip. So 280 raw, the last meet he did 277. The 280 is from 2019. So if we go back here, 280 would have put him in the lead and would have tied his PR. But now 285 is going to give him more than he needs and be 5 kilos above his PR. So I don't know whether they thought that was there, why they thought that was there, why they didn't take the minimum amount, put the pressure on Pana, who's never won Worlds before, to have to go and pull. But for whatever reason, they end up going 285 to try and put more pressure on, end up missing it. And so at that point, Pana is your world champion. Doesn't need to even try the third attempt, but he goes for it anyways. And he had a higher number in, I believe, and dropped it out on 285. So that would have given him a 700 kilo total. So maybe that's what he was going after, breaking the 700 kilo total. And if you go watch the lift, he's actually got it and he's pulling it, and he's locking it out, and then his hook grip slips on him and he loses it. So he ends up not getting it. So that what makes it more interesting is that if Sergey had done the 280 and then forced Pana to do the 280, would he have still lost his grip on the 280? And at that point, you're projecting what the other lifter is capable of, and you're also projecting it based on their absolute strength, or just, focusing only on strength and not on pressure of having to pull for the win, and things like, what if their grip fails? What if they lose their balance or something like that, which they can lose the attempt and then lose out on it. So interesting there, all of them missed their third attempts, but the key there was once Sergey missed, Pan already had the win, so no pressure on him. 692.5, your new world champion from France. So that covers the men's side. Right now you can see obviously Russians in the lead, having more lifters and having the first and second in the 59s. But on the best lifter, like I said, Sergey didn't have a good day compared to what he's done before, and he's already in third on best lifter. And with all those other lifters coming, he's gonna drop quite a bit. Then you have right now Gladkick in second and Pana in first at 108. He's probably gonna drop down a bit as well. So if you go over to Open IPF and you kind of look at the points on the men's side, you got Russ here at 117, Jonathan Kaiko basically at 117, and Anatoly here at 114.78. So if they all hit about that or even a little bit less, they're going to beat out this 108. But, really good day for Pana getting that title and seeing what he can do in the future. So we're going to go now to the women. We'll go from 47 to 52 to 57. So we'll come over here, pull up the Women's Classic Open. So on the women's side, we had, more depth in these weight classes, which is great. We can see more of a battle here. And so on the 47 side, it was a battle between three lifters going in on nominations. So if I come over here, look at the women's nominations real quick. You'll see for the 47s, you have, 370, 370, 366. So three lifters nominated really close, and then a drop off here to 329, 328, 327.5. So we come back over here and we take a look, and Tiffany started off very well, opening up with a junior world record. Since she's still a junior, she's turning 20 this year, so she has a few more years as a junior. Decided to compete in the Open, opens up with a junior world record on squat, bumps up further on the second, and then misses the 153 on the third. The chip that she would have needed against Simone, since she weighs 46.5 and Simone weighs 46.24. So maybe she should have been chipping all three. So sometimes you do the chip on the third attempt thinking, okay, the third attempt is where I'm gonna, my heaviest number is gonna be, so I'll chip that. But you have to also, take in the fact, what if I miss my third? What if I end up with my second? So in this case where she's chipping, actually that's because it's my apologies, that's the mistake, is that she can't chip the junior record, she has to chip the Open record. So that's a mistake on my part, junior competing in the Open. Let's take a look at the Open record real quick and see what that is. Yeah, so that's a mistake on me. So 152.5 is the Open record, so the only one she can chip is actually that 153. So she did it, they ran it correctly, taking the world record junior when they can't chip, and then once they got to the Open, chipping it. Unfortunately, they missed out, so they didn't get the chip, though they didn't need it. Then you can see the battle between Simone and Veronica. The same exact attempts. Both do 130, both do 135, both do 140. Simone weighs lighter, so she gets the silver. Veronica gets the bronze. But, they're neck and neck now going into bench press. Bench press gets interesting for Tiffany. So on her first one, she just straight up misses it. You see her bring it down, and I don't know if she touched in a bad spot, but also looks like her feet kind of slipped out on her. With that illegal carpet, sometimes it can get slippery with, baby powder and chalk and sweat and everything else on there. And depending on what kind of shoe you have, if it doesn't have really, deep grooves in it, then you could possibly slip on it. So it seemed like she may have touched in a weird spot and the feet slipped on her, and she, when she touched, she kind of just lost it that way towards her face, kind of like almost like an equip lifter in a shirt. It's just she didn't even press it, she just kind of just slid down her arch, and then they took it. Then she comes for her second attempt, and then they're telling her, oh, you have to tie your hair. So for lifters that have longer hair, you can't just have your hair hanging down and then lay down the bench, because if you lift your head up, your hair could be blocking the view, and then the referees can't tell whether your head has come off the bench. So you're kind of gaining an advantage over a lifter like me, who has no hair, And so if my head comes off, you can clearly tell. So for lifters with longer hair, they usually tell them to tie their hair and maybe put it a little bit higher on the side, because you also don't want it directly behind the head, because then the knot or the bun or however you're tying up your hair is going to be what's on the bench, and your head's not going to be actually on the bench. So you have to have it tied up and maybe on the side or something like that, so your head is actually physically touching the bench, and the referees can see if your head comes off the bench. So they're telling her, she comes out, hey, you can't have your hair just hanging like that. And there seemed to be some confusion between the chief referee and the lifter and the coach, and they're trying to talk back and forth of what they want. Do they want her hair to the side? She tries to tie it up, and then they tell her you can't have it right behind your head. And all this time, her clock is running. Her 60-second clock is running, because it's on her, the lifter, to be prepared when they say bars loaded to come out and do the attempt. So finally, that throughout the discussion, she gets up and comes back and gets up and comes back. They figure out what the issue is. She ties up her hair. Then for some reason, as her clock is already ticking like underneath 15 seconds at this point, she decides to redo her wrist straps. So then she's like sitting on the bench, loosening up her wrist strap, putting it back on, which technically that shouldn't be allowed. Then I don't remember if there was a TC at that point. I don't think there was a TC seeing this all, or there wasn't a TC at all. So they didn't come to like grab her and take her off the platform. So she's sitting there, she's rapping. Now she's cutting down, 10 seconds or less. She lays down and she tries to bring out, she times out. So now you're down 2 attempts, and now you have to go into your third, all or nothing. Like, this is a potentially getting the world title, even being on the podium, or just bombing out. So she had her hair correct for this one. She had her wrist straps ready to go. She goes out there, her feet don't slip on her, and she smokes the weight and gets the lift. So that was like, must have been really scary for her. And obviously everyone watching is just like, what's going on? Like, is she really going to bomb out on bench because of like, these weird things, not an actual like, strength issue for her. But, she gets it and stays alive. And then for the other two, Simone and Veronica, you can see in this case, Veronica's got the bigger bench. So she's opens 2.5 kilos more, stays 2.5 kilos ahead on the second attempt, and then stays 2.5 kilos ahead on the third attempt. Simone ends up missing, and Veronica ends up making. So now Veronica has the 5 kilo lead, really 2.5 because she doesn't have the body weight, but in subtotal a 5 kilo lead here. Whereas Tiffany is kind of in the big lead now, as far as she benched the same as Veronica, but squatted 10 kilos more. So now she has like a 10 kilo lead over Veronica, and she has body weight over Veronica. So Tiffany now, after she's 5 bench press, is sitting in a good spot, and then Veronica's sitting in a decent spot, and Simone's sitting in a decent spot coming down to deadlift. Now, Simone does have the bigger deadlift compared to Veronica, and then Tiffany has the bigger deadlift compared to both of them. So Tiffany just kind of did whatever she needed in order to cruise to victory. The 150 went up fine, no problem. The 160 moved up fine, no problem. Then she goes 165 for the junior world record in the deadlift, which also gave her the junior world record in the total. And I think, the junior total was much lower than that at that point. So she probably broke it on multiple attempts. You just can't see all of them. So if we go over here, even the deadlift was at 153. So she broke that pretty early. And then the total was 355.5. So she was breaking out all those a little bit earlier. But, her ending number, 397.5, will be the world record junior total. And 165 will be the deadlift. And she is your world champion. So then we see this battle here where Simone is 5 kilos behind. And she ends up opening up 7.5 kilos ahead of Veronica on the opener. So now in the opener, she has taken the lead, and she has the body weight. So now she flipped it where she has a 2.5 kilo lead plus the body weight. So Veronica goes up 10 kilos. So Simone and Team Canada just go up 7.5 kilos because you already have the lead. Again, you don't have to extend the lead. So just at that point, you're going to be tied on total and be winning on body weight. So you might as well take the minimum amount. Don't risk it going 157 or 160 or something like that. So they go the minimum amount just to stay in the lead. So at this point, they both hit. Veronica goes up 2.5 because that's where she needs to take the silver medal back. So Simone just puts in a big number, waits to see what happens. At that point, Veronica misses the 157. So, or sorry, she went up 7.5. I don't know why I read that as 152. So she only needed 2.5 more. She only needed 152, but she wanted to put, I guess, more pressure on Simone because they assumed that, Simone would be able to get 2.5 more as well. So they actually went up 7.5 kilos to 157. and they end up missing that. So as soon as she misses that, boom, she's out. You're locked into the bronze medal. And so at that point, Simone is locked into the silver and she can do whatever she wants. So most likely they put that 162.5 in to try and get the medal, a higher medal in the deadlift. So it would have put her above this 157 right here, and it would have put her above this 160 right here prior to Tiffany pulling the third. So at that point, it would have put her in the gold medal in the deadlift, and then Tiffany would have to have, pulled to get it back, and she still would have finished with silver medal at that point, but she ended up missing as well, so she ended up with the bronze medal in the deadlift, and then the silver medal based on body weight. So again, this goes back to things I mentioned multiple days now for this recap. What strategy do you want to take? Do you want to take the minimum amount needed to move you into a higher position and then wait for your competitor to make or miss to take that position back, or you hold on to it? Or do you want to take a bigger jump, more than you need, to put more pressure on that lifter to have to pull more? The downsides to the latter is that if you push too much, too aggressive, you get too close to the sun, you're going to get burned, you're going to miss your attempt, and at that point, the game is over. You just let your competitor win without them even having to do anything. No pressure on them. All the pressure was on you because you took too big of an attempt, more than you're capable of, and no pressure on them. Whereas they could have taken a smaller amount. They could have taken 152 or even 155, something that they know for sure they can win, to stay in the game, stay in the battle, and then put the pressure on Simone. All right, you go out there now and you make 157 or 160 and have to pull for the silver medal. All the pressure is on you to go out there and execute everything perfectly. Don't lose your balance. Don't lose your grip. Don't, ramp the bar up, everything like that. So they played a little bit too aggressive, and it worked out for Team Canada and Simone. She already had the silver medal on second deadlift. Didn't even have to do anything for the third attempt. But nice little battle there. Some really great totals here. It's going to be interesting going forward what Tiffany can do, multiple years in the juniors, and then also she can choose to be in the open whenever she wants. We'll see when she gets over a 400 kilo total. Going into the 52s, we had another battle really of the top lifters. So if you go here again, you can see, 427, 422, a little bit of a drop here to 410.5, and then 405 and 400. So, decent group here of 5 lifters battling it out, even here at 6'3", But really, it was like, we thought it was going to be battle of the top 2. And then how much does Shizuka Rico put on her total, or that 410.5? And I believe she's actually told more before. I think 417.5. So that number wasn't even actually her best number. I got to switch over to women. So let's take a look. Oh no, 410.5 is her best. So that was her best number. Missing 2 deadlifts and missing a squat. Yeah, so tight pack there. And then we go into the actual battle. You can see Andy hits her body weight 52 exactly on the dot. So I don't know how hard she cuts and what kind of difference there was with traveling, but she was really close. Where Shizuka, a little more moderate, 51.4, having that lighter body weight helps. And then Nomi, really light, moving up from the 47s to 52s recently. So she's 49.9. She's a lighter lifter. She has the best lot number as well. So she's sitting in a really good spot there. On squats, you can see Nomi, again, executes very well. Just opens out 150, goes 5 and 2.5, 3 for 3, gold medal. Shizuka, goes a little bit more aggressive, possibly on her opener compared to what she has here, where she's opened up before a 140 or 145. And even when she opened up 145, she missed the 155.5. So she goes here 147, 152, and then misses the 155. So now she's missed it again, 2 for 3, gets 4th place in the squat. And then Andy gave us a scare too. If you go watch this 150, it looked like RPE 10, all out grinder. And I was like, I hope this is the depth. I hope she gets one in, because this might be the only one. And she, got it in. She goes up to 155, and as she's coming down with the 155, she didn't walk back far enough from the rack, so she actually hits the rack. And I believe she hits the little metal rod that comes up from the upright, which is the new Alico rack that lets you adjust the rack, the upright, in or out. It's like an easier lever now that you don't have to lift something up and push it. You just turn the lever. And so I think she hit that metal rod for that moves the upright in and out. And she hit that, and she still tried to come up with it, and she couldn't come up with it. So now I'm like, man, The first one was difficult. The second one, she hits the rack and messes her up, and now she has to come back and do 155. But she ended up walking back further, and depth looked a little bit questionable, but her first one to me looked questionable too. She got that one, but somehow she was able to come up with it. If I remember correctly, it looked a little bit easier than 150. Maybe she was like just really nervous on the 150. It's your first time at Worlds. This whole pandemic going on. You had to switch from USAPL to USVI and everything like that. You're a lot of pressure on you. You're the second to last squatter in the group, and so maybe she got some nerves out of her. Even though it was a little bit hectic on that first and second attempt, and the third attempt, looked a little bit better. So she was able to at least come away with 155. But for her as well, it was a fairly heavy opener. So if we kind of go over here too, and we pull up Andrea Riley, we'll go a little bit more in depth on these over here. So you can see, at Nationals, she opened up at 150, missed, made the 150 and got 155. Previously, she opened up at 147. So she's kind of, matching that right there. But now she's trying to do it on an international stage and traveling and weighing 152 on the dot. So maybe a little bit aggressive, but she was able to come away with it. Ploon over here opens up with the heaviest one, actually, 152, gets 157, and then misses 161 for the record. So, a little bit of a, wild start here with Andy, but other than that, things are fairly normal, and, Naomi is in the driver's seat. So then Naomi also, makes 3 benches. It's not her lift. She got, 5th place, but, she maximized what she needed on bench press and puts her in a good spot going into deadlift, which is her lift. Shizuka comes in, bounces back, gets 3 benches in here. And again, takes moderate jumps like most people do. Here you can see 5 and then 2. And then the other option usually people take is 2 and then 2 when you have below 100 kilo max. Andy, opens up with 82, takes a 2.5 kilo jump, gets it, takes another 2.5 kilo jump and misses. And if we kind of come over here, same thing happened to her last 2 meets, 82.5, 85, and then misses to 87.5. So can't quite get past that 87.5 barrier right now. And that ended up hurting her a little bit because now she possibly lost some kilos on squat, depending on what, her strength would have been there without having that issue. And then possibly lost some here. And then Ploon, her bench isn't also the competitive one. So, she got 75, missed the 80. I forget what that was for. If it was, maybe they thought it was a butt coming up or something like that, and then come back and get the 80. But now she's 8th place on bench. And so tough spot there. Deadlift is not her lift. So on this point, deadlift is Naomi's lift. So all she does is just stay in the lead. Keep building that total, keep putting pressure on these lifters to have to pull something that they don't want to pull and that they've never pulled before. So the battle really first came down to Shizuka versus Andy because you first have to watch out for the other person trying to catch you as well. And also Shizuka missed her opener. I believe it was a balance issue, came up fine, and as she was locking out, it kind of went forward again. Happens to some sumo lifters. If it's a balance issue, they lose their balance a little bit, or if the bar speed's too fast. So Andy makes the 172 and takes a 10 kilo jump versus Shizuka misses the 185 and has to retake it. And then Naomi's cruising. She gets to 182 and takes a small jump just to keep padding her lead. Goes up to 187. So now we come into the thirds, and you can see here Andy misses her second attempt. So now she's missed 1 squat, she's missed 1 bench, and now she's already missing a deadlift here. So now she's really putting herself behind. And then Shizuka comes back and makes the 185 to stay in the meet and puts her now into the silver medal position. So she's got the 5 kilo lead on Andy. She doesn't have the body weight. Andy has the body weight. So looking at this point, obviously, Andy wouldn't know, or, we're looking at the numbers after the fact and saying, okay, what's the minimum amount or what's the different strategy they could have done. But if Andy had played a little more conservative and gone, 177, we'll say the minimum amount, 177, and gotten it, she would have been at 417 as well, and they would have been tied, and Andy would be on the lead on body, Andy would be behind on body weight. Sorry, I was looking at the numbers wrong. So she could have gone 177 and waited to see if Shizuka actually makes her second attempt, comes back and make it, or she could have gone 180 is the correct amount, would get her to 420 and put her into silver medal. but they went to 182 and missed it. And then you can see they missed it again. So at that point, they are behind. They're in third place. And they can, no one's going to catch them from behind. Paloon took a monster jump here, going 5 kilos and then 15, which is too much for her. So at that point, Andy's locked into third and Shizuka is locked into second. So that's when she changes her attempt and takes this big number right here. So she waits to see what her teammate Naomi's going to do. Naomi takes a small jump, gets to 430 and is the lighter lifter. So now Shizuka needs to beat that. She needs to beat the 430. She has to get the 430.5. So you can see she takes here a 13 kilo jump, 185 to 198, which gets her to that 430.5. Because at that point, she's probably thinking like, might as well shoot for it. You already have the silver medal locked up. So what else do you want? Maybe a personal record, maybe some kind of national record. Maybe you want a deadlift medal that's higher than the bronze medal. Or you can try and pull for the win. So that she said, okay, let's see how we're feeling today. Let's try and pull for the win. She ended up not getting it. But, if Andy had done, let's say, like I said, the 180 and gotten it, then at that point, Shizuka couldn't have taken that shot for, she could have still, but she wouldn't have taken most likely that shot for the gold medal because now she would have fallen from silver to bronze and she would have to make another pull to get back into silver. So at that point, she had to decide, do I want to pull more conservative and go from bronze to silver, or do I want to pull more aggressive and go from bronze to gold? And I think maybe they would have thought that this is out of her wheelhouse since her PR is 185 from these two meets, and then she missed 185 her last meet, and now she's hitting 185 as an opener. So maybe they thought there was more there, but 198 could have still been a little bit too aggressive. So at that point, she could have just taken 187.5 and gotten the silver medal back. But at that point, Andy didn't even put any pressure on her because there's just too many missed attempts. The one squat, the two bench, and the one bench and the two deadlifts, you're out at that point. And Shizuka couldn't, gain enough kilos to put enough pressure on Andy because, again, she missed one squat and then she missed her opener deadlift, which hurt a little bit. She had made her opener deadlift and then, done the 190 or 192 on the second, then maybe she would have, numbers would have changed here as far as what Naomi does, or maybe she would have felt more confident, or maybe she would have seen that, it's not there today or whatever. Things could have been different. But, all these lifters missed too many attempts and Naomi just, cruised, made every single attempt, maximized her lifts, had the body weight, had the lot number, everything she needed, and she got the 430 total and the world title. And then when we go into 57's our final weight class for today. So this was another battle as well between three lifters, Joy versus Maria versus Bobby Butters. And then, some good battles here between these other lifters, at 422, 420, 420, 412, 410, 407. So really tight packed there from like fourth place all the way down to, 9th or 10th place. But really, these three stand above. You can see the 480.5, the 472.5, and the 470.5. And in this case, Maria ended up being the lightest lifter. So you can see she's weighing in the 55s, whereas Joy's at 56.66 and Bobby's at 56.90. So Joy opens up with the lightest squat here, 162.5. It was, fairly difficult, but apparently that's how she always is. She lifts, if you haven't seen like raw, no wrist wraps, no belt, no knee sleeves. And, she has very long legs. She's leaned over a little bit more. And so it can be a little bit more difficult for her, that range of motion on the squat and stuff like that. So it was a little bit difficult, but she only went up 7.5 kilos. And she actually stood up with both of these. But on the second attempt, I believe it was the head referee and the right referee gave yellow cards. And then on the third attempt, the head referee and the left referee gave yellow cards. And what the live stream commentator was saying after the fact, that it was two things. One is that they felt like she was using her elbows on her thighs in the bottom of the squat to aid her in the lift, to support her. And the other thing too, if you watch her hands, especially the right side, as she is coming up in her squat, her right hand opens up and the bar was sitting there, so they felt like she was not gripping the bar. Personally, me as a referee, I've been refereeing since 2013. Looking at those videos from that angle, the side angle, I disagree with both of those because I believe for her and a few other lifters, the elbow was brushing back past the thighs as they're going down in depth and coming up, but they were not using it like, as a 90-degree angle to kind of like hold their up torso in position by basing it on her quad and using any kind of support. And also with the right hand, I thought, her hand opened up like that, but it's still sitting in the fingers. It's still sitting in the hand, or her fingers are wrapped around the bar. So I felt that she was still gripping it. So I think that should have been a good lift. I don't know if the coach went to the jury. I didn't see them go to the jury, and I didn't hear the live stream commentator say anything. I think maybe they just figured, don't even bother fighting it. She thought she was going to win most likely, and wasn't worried too concerned about it. So that's what the issue is there. For Maria, her 170 looked easy. She goes to 175, only 5 kilo jump. That looked easy, but she got reds on that. And then when you watch the replay from more of a side view, you can tell that it looked, more like parallel. It looked like maybe her hips kind of locked up since she is, a shorter lifter with smaller legs. Sometimes it looks like she's very low to the ground, but it's relative to how tall she is versus like, some lifters like 6 feet tall or higher. It looks like they're not going as deep because they're just so far away from the ground. They're so high compared to the rack and compared to the spotters, where she's so low compared to the spotters and the rack and how low her hips get towards the ground. But you watch that replay and it looks like it was like parallel. Like her hips kind of locked up on her. She kind of just stopped at parallel and came up. But it seems like they weren't too concerned because they went up 2.5 kilos to 177.5, and depth looked better there. And she came up with it, possibly more in the tank as well. So while Joy was just stuck with her opener, Marie was actually able to gain 7.5 kilos from first to third. And then Bobby, the 170 looks easy. She goes up to 180.5 for the world record. She gets that. Look a little bit of a fight too, but, not too bad. But sometimes, like, some lifters are kind of like, all or nothing. They get that bounce out of the hole and they just stop, or they get that bounce out of the hole and then pop up and, it looks fairly easy. So she got the 180.5, and it just seemed like she didn't have any gas on the 183. Looks like she tried to get the little bounce of the hole, and it just didn't move. And then the spotters grabbed it. And I guess, maybe she was like just too gassed out or like that. Cause she didn't even try and come up. And, usually the spotters assist the lifter. Because, if you have the strength to do 180, they don't have to lift all 183 kilos. If they lift, 20 or 30, 40 even kilos for you, it should be enough. And if they grab like, between 3 of them, 50, 60, 70 of the kilos, it's going to be very easy. But it seems she's just kind of like stayed down. She kind of gave up on the bar, and the spotters had to put it into the bench press hooks. So not sure exactly what happened there, other than maybe she just, can't quite grind through that kind of weight after a weight cut as well. And then, the other lifters really weren't keeping up with them. So we'll go on to the bench press. Again, Joy, bench press is not her lift, so she opens up the lightest. And this kind of matches what she did at her last meet, 92, 97, 100. Except at her last meet, she got the 100. This time, she was not able to get it. The 97 looked pretty difficult, and then she just misses the 100. So now she's only gotten one squat, and she's only gotten 5 kilos on the bench press. Lucky for her, Maria was missing some attempts too. So Maria gets to 95, looks, fairly easy. She gets to 100, looks pretty comfortable, and then just wasn't able to, power through that middle and lock out the 102.5. So now she only gets 5 on bench press, but now Bobby's, gaining some ground. Does the 97.5, gets to 102, and then fights through and gets to 105. So she gains 7.5 here. So she's getting 7.5 on the bench press, and she's getting 10.5 plus the chip on the squat, versus Maria gets only 7.5 and 5, and Joy gets 0 off of her opener here and only 5, but helps to have a big deadlift. So things switch over here. Bobby's got the weakest deadlift at 170. Maria's got the moderate deadlift here at 185, and Joy is the monster deadlifter. And she initially had her opener in at 200, and at her last meet, she went 200, 212.5, and then 225 or 227.5. So you can see here she went, 215. She went 200, 215, 227.5. So she took a 15 kilo jump and then a 12.5 kilo jump. So those are big jumps. You get to, really put kilos on your total across those three. But what she ended up doing is then switching her opener and bumping up to 205.5, which is beating out her own record. The other thing here too is that if we compare here, Maria and Joy, Maria has 15 kilos on top of her on squat, and then has 2.5 kilos here on bench. So Maria's leading by 17.5 kilos on subtotal, and she has the body weight. So Joy needs to open up with 20 kilos more than her. So you can see, or she can do, chip. In this case, she was able to chip, but she ended up opening up 20.5 kilos more than her to get in the lead. So if she had opened up with 200, she would have been behind by 2.5 kilos in openers. So she switched to 205.5 to be ahead after the deadlift openers. So it is a little bit of an aggressive move, bumping up your opener 5.5 kilos, opening up with the world record. But her max is 227.5. They may have felt confident warming up, and it puts you in the driver's seat because now you would be up on openers and you have the bigger deadlifts. All you need to do is match their jumps and stay ahead the whole time. So she ends up doing that. Bobby smokes the 170, takes a 10 kilo jump. Maria smokes the 185, takes a 7.5 kilo jump, hoping that, Joy would miss her second and third. And then Joy smokes the opener and takes a 15 kilo jump. So this is a monstrous jump and a little bit risky here. So if you look at it, if we take the 220.5 off and we go back down to the 205, be 15 kilos off of here. So she's only at 465.5 and Maria's at 470 on the second. So I can pull up the calculator to kind of show you what I'm looking at and how if Joy had screwed that up and missed twice, she would have been second place, possibly in third place. If we take Joy's total and we subtract out the difference from the first to second, just so you can see 205.5 to 220.5, she's at 465.5 after the opener. And then if we say she misses 2 and Maria makes her second, we do 472.5, she's at 470. So Maria would be 470 and Joy would be 465.5 if she misses 2. So at that point, all Joy would need is 470.5. So all she would have needed, I can do it for you here, 470.5 minus the 162 squat minus the 97.5 bench. All she needed was 210.5 in order to maintain that lead. So you could have gone 210.5 to maintain a lead. You could have gone, 213 to, maintain a little bit of gap there. You could have gone 215.5 to maintain a bigger gap there. You could have gone, 218. For some reason, she took this monster jump on 220.5. High risk. I know she's done 227.5, but 7 kilos off your max, and you never know. You've already missed 2 squats. You've already missed 1 bench. It's the world championship. You don't know if you lose your balance or something like that. There's already been a bunch of lifting done that platform from 6 days of lifting. You don't know if there's dents and wobbles and all that kind of stuff like that. And so if you miss this twice, you are out. You're at 465.5. Maria beats you, and obviously here you can see, Bobby would have been cutting for you too. You get third, but she ends up getting it with more in the tank, and so that basically sealed it. It was too difficult, I believe, based on the 192 Maria's done and her PR, to be able to catch Joy. She would have needed, another 10 kilos. So she would have needed 202.5. And so I feel like that was a little bit too much for her, out of her wheelhouse. And then, it worked out for her a little bit where Bobby was catching her from behind. So Bobby takes the minimum amount at this point because on seconds, Maria's at 470. So Bobby has the chip. So she can just go 470.5, taking this 5 kilo jump. So she takes the 5 kilo jump to get the 470.5, move into silver medal. So at that point, then Maria has to make one more deadlift to get the silver medal back. So she just only needs the minimum amount, 2.5 kilo jump, 192.5 to 195. Grip holds, everything looks good, locks it out, no problem. Gets the 472.5 to get the silver medal. So at that point, Maria didn't even have a shot to take, or a chance to take a shot at the gold medal because she was getting chased from behind from Bobby. And at that point, she's in the bronze medal position. So Maria has to decide, Do I take this 202.5, a 10 kilo jump to try and move in the first? Or do I take the 195, the conservative jump, in order to take the silver medal back? And her and Team Can decided to take the conservative jump and take the silver medal back. So nice little battle there up to the very end for second and third, and up to that second deadlift for the gold medal, really, because that pretty much sealed Joy's world title there. So she moves up a weight class. She gets the world record squat and the world record total and the world title. So good little battle there. As far as the other lifters, not much going on here as far as squat. For bench press, Donna Berglund, the sister of Eddie Berglund, also has the monster bench. She does 107.5, 115, tries to go for the world record on 121.5, misses it, but she still got the gold medal in the bench press. And then the deadlift, this other Canadian lifter, Jordanos, who just competed in Orlando last month for the Pan American Championship, does 177, 185, and then 190 to get the bronze medal over Bobby Butters for the deadlift right there. So nice to come away with a medal there. And then for now, the team points, you got France, Great Britain, and Canada. And then for the best lifters, you got Joy, Maria, and Naomi. So this one is going to be, a little bit changing as well. If we go look at the best lifters all time here for women, you're going to see Amanda at 122, Leah at 119.9, Jess here at 113.9. So this 113 is going to be hard to hold up. It looks like those three lifters, maybe some others, could potentially drop Joy down. So she may end up third or maybe fourth or fifth on best lifter. But for now, she can sit there on first. And it would have helped her if she had gone, she took a monster jump again here for the third. Would have given her another 12 kilos. Would have given her like a 493 total and much higher points, but she wasn't able to get it past her knees. So we'll see what happens. So that covers our day one of the Open, day number 7 entire championship. So for tomorrow, Thursday, in the morning session, you have the 74s. In that middle session, you have the 63s. And then in the night session, you have the 83s split up into the two groups. So for this one, when you go to Good Lift here and you go to live, they're going to have, platform 1 here in room 1, platform 2 here in room 2. And it should be set up where, this B group should be the lower nominated totals. So they kind of do it like the IPF kind of does it where like the B group is lower, even though, they're the, B comes after A, but A is the premier group, is going to have the higher nominated number. So it should be where, this room 1, platform 1 is where you're going to want to see, this right here is where you're going to want to see the top lifters. You're going to want to watch the Russell Orhe and all those lifters here in the 83s in that A group. So make sure you're clicking on the right one there. But for the score sheet, you should be able to see all of them on both. You'll see the full 83s here, all listed together, but the video will be for that specific platform. So should be an interesting day. If we kind of go over to, actually we can go here and go to the nominations real quick. So for the 63s, you're obviously going to have Leah. We'll see what kind of number she puts up, how she's feeling, if she puts up some monster total. Then you got other lifters here, Iris, Ivana, Sabrina, nice little battle there. For the 74s, no Taylor Atwood, so it'll be interesting here. Nice little battle here between Paul, Yakov, and Alexander, and even some other lifters, who knows what kind of progress they've made. And then for the 83s, like I said, you got Russ, Nikolai from Kazakhstan, Emilio, Giannis here from France, who has a world record deadlift. Asain, who's got a monster deadlift. You got our boy Kafui down here too, so it should be a nice little battle. You even got Alexei Kuzmin, former world champion here, so that one should be interesting as well. And then the last thing I want to go over, again, that link, or last two things, the links are down in the description below, is we have the Fantasy League. So if you did enter the Fantasy League, then you can use the link down below, or you can use the link in my bio. I'm trying to get Ryan Lapidat to update the King List bio as well. to go see the live scoreboard. So if you want to go see how your team is doing, you have this link right here, Tournament of Champions live scoreboard. You click on that bad boy, it brings you over to this Google sheet, and then you can see where the rankings are from the highest point so far all the way down, and then you can look for your name, whatever you put in for us to call you over here. You can go take a look at the roster. Close to 200 entries. If I come down here to the bottom, so 178 right here. So, close to 200 entries, not quite there, but you can go and see how you are ranking. See if you can get top 20, see if you can get top 10, see if you can get number 1. And we'll be updating this throughout the week. As the results are happening, we'll drop them in here and it'll automatically calculate. And then we can always sort by the highest points. So you can see, obviously, it's day one. Some of these lifters are higher because, they may have given 16, 15, or 14 points for Tiffany, whereas some people may have given, lower points to them, 4 over here. And so as the days go, it'll become more apparent who's going to be the top lifter. But you can see that over here. You can go to that link. I believe SSPT over here is Matt Gary. You got Rory Lynch, Gary Lynch right there. You got wild, big, by the book Bill McCarthy there, 39 points. I'm over here, 38 points. You got your boy Six Pack Lab with that here, 37 points. So you can go check this out if you entered to see how you're doing. And then the other thing I want to mention as well, I have the link to our Discord server there as well if you want to go and chat. So again, you can always go to the link to my bio or use the link down in the chat. And this one right here, Discord server for Position of Power. Well, I do have a list of Position of Power. We're going to have sections in there, which we already do for King of the Lifts and other things like that. And so in the King of the Lifts, Fantasy League section right now, today we were talking back and forth while the 57s were going of how, how the battle is playing out and, what's happening as far as people changing attempts. Like, who did you pick? Who are you rooting for? What do you think this lifter's going to do? Why do you think they missed this attempt? Stuff like that. So if you want to get in on a discussion for these next 4 days and in the future, whether you want to ask stuff about the Position of Power programming, questions about programming in general, guests we should have on King List podcast, other live streams like this that we're going to do, going over form check or programming questions, all that kind of stuff like that, you can hop into the Discord server through this link over here in my bio, and I believe King Lift should have it as well. And then you can just make an account, name yourself whatever you want, and then you can come chat with us each day during Worlds. So yeah, right here, Discord. So you can hop in there even through the King of Lifts if you just go to their Instagram bio right there. And then you can come chat with us during all these different days where World is happening and in future discussions. So just a couple things logistically there that I want to mention before we finish off the live stream. But that is, pretty much all I have for you all today. Good day for the Open, day number 1. And I'm excited to see how day number 2 goes with the 74s, new champion, with the 63s, see what Leah does, and of course with the 83s, see what kind of numbers Russell or he can put up. Other than that, hope you guys are having a good day, and I hope to do this again tomorrow. So I'll catch you tomorrow for day 2 of the Open recap and day number 8 of the overall Classic Powerlifting Worlds Championship. All right, see you guys next time.